coming in for your period, you can come grab a packet and then also these 2 slips of paper. I'll explain what the slips are for you. One of them is for reference when you do your SQR. The other one's an exit ticket. Exit ticket is what you'll do at the end of the class. Hence, exit ticket. Alright, so when you guys start on, you got your 5-minute timers, we got about 3 minutes. Alright, give you a heads up. Again, if you need help, I'll help you guys out.
Yeah. Guys, if you forgot your groups, your groups are listed up there.
Alright, so again, ladies and gents, you have your warm-up, focusing on President FDR and his idea of isolationism. But, as we talked about yesterday, the perspective, point of view that a lot of Americans had during this time period was that they wanted to stay out of the war. But as you can see in this statement, things start to change a little bit. Okay, so you have 2 questions. One's focusing on his foreign policy, and then a result from one of his ideas. All right, so I'll come around, help you out, get you focused on what you need to do.
Call me if you're ready for me to check your answers.
Check them out. Also, for number 2, the answer for number 2 is going to be based on one of your new vocabulary words. Right? Like I said, when we talk about these vocabulary words, some of them are going to be connected to different acts that are instituted or created by FDR. All right? So, like I said, you got about a minute and a half, right? And we'll come back and we'll talk about it together. Good job. Good? Take a look at number 1. All right, so we're going to talk about foreign policy. All right, the foreign policy is, again, previous to what we were talking about yesterday. All right, did they want to say?
He's not feeling too good.
So, foreign policy and FDR illustrates the statement here. All right, so we have in the present world, of course, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind of a very overwhelming number of Americans that the best immediate defense of the United States is the success of Great Britain in defending itself. And if you guys look down at the bottom line, it says equally important for a selfish point of view of American defense that we should do everything to help the British Empire to defend itself. Things are starting to change a little bit. All right, America no longer just want to defend itself. The Americans, again, yes, they will talk about it being not going to get involved. But when we're starting to look at the way he's talking, all right, does it seem like he's still focused on wanting to be neutral, or he's looking at kind of
Help.
just trying to help? So you got to look at the question in your own point. All right? So, that's fine. All right, ladies and gents, let's take a look at number 1. For those who are just coming in, all right, again, the statement that we have is from FDR. And if you looked at the date here, we have December 17th, 1940. All right? So, point number 1, we're looking at the foreign policy goal of FDR is the statement illustrated. After you read the statement, right, what was the overall vibe or feeling that you got based on this statement as compared to yesterday? Because yesterday we were talking about not wanting to get involved. Stay out of the war. We got to deal with the Great Depression. We got to deal with the casualties that we felt from World War I. What do you think his vibe is now talking about?
So yesterday, basically it talked about staying neutral, and today it's different because now it's more focusing on trying to help instead of being neutral.
Now again, that's perfect, right? And there are some points in our statement here that talk about helping the Allies, or helping the British. So for number 1, what statement do you think would best fit our answer for number 1? Anybody want to take a shot? What do you got? 3, promoting, you said 2? So, united imperial nations in joint defense of their colonies. All right? So, unfortunately, it's not going to be 2, even though when we talk about uniting, the uniting can be a little bit helpful, but again, we're not focusing on colonies in this sense. Mark, what do you got? 1?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1 is the correct answer. All right? What's going on? How you doing? All right, so again, it's shifting. It's no longer staying neutral. The words, phrases that are used in the statement is talking about now helping the allies. All right, and then for number 2, like I said, for number 2, what you got? 2 is 2. Very good. All right, from what I said in the beginning, if you were here, right, the Lend-Lease program, you have notes down below in the mini lesson where it says shift of pro-Allied help. All right? The establishment of the Land-Lease Act, the establishment of the Land-Lease Act is similar to what we do today when you get a car. All right? When you lease a car, all right? When you lease a car, do you hold that car forever? Girls? No. No. What happens when you lease a car? What do you end up having to do with that car? You got to give it back a little bit. You still got to pay for it. All right. So when we talk about the Lend-Lease program, that's exactly what the United States was doing.
Oh, I remember reading about this. They lend equipment.
What kind of equipment? We're talking about basketball, sporting equipment.
No, we're talking about war equipment, like things to help them. Yeah. Guns and stuff.
Tanks, ships, guns. All right. Mr. Walker, can you hit the next slide, please? And we'll get into what those nodes are looking at. All right? So, again, this is the shift. This is the change that's going on here. All right? The Neutrality Acts. We talked about those yesterday. The Neutrality Act is making sure the United States does not get involved. All right? In many different types of ways. Again, we are focusing on getting ourselves out of the Great Depression. We do not want to go over and deal with problems that are happening in Europe when we have plenty of problems here. But what ends up happening is that FDR ends up going into making more programs for helping the Allies in Europe. So now he's starting to creep a little bit into getting involved. All right? And that's where we talk about the Allies are able to purchase weapons, tanks, any type of equipment that will help them fight off the Germans. Perfect. Very good job. All right? And this also ends up leading to negotiations with Japan. Not only was the United States having to focus about Europe here, but also on the other side in Asia was Japan. All right? And Japan's empire was also being very aggressive towards China and Korea as well. And if you look, the only thing we have defending ourselves on either side, either in Europe or in Asia, is either the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean. All right, so we are in need of these allies to make sure that peace is still happening in Europe and Asia, so we are protected in a sense. All right? Oh, sorry. All right. So again, the U.S. attempts to halt Japanese expansion, and the bigger one is U.S. implementation of economic sanctions. All right? They figured that if you were to hit Japanese economics in a way that they are able to be a little bit halted, all right? Embargoes on oil, all right? Not providing oil for an army, how can that impact an army?
Is that neutral or involvement?
Involvement.
Nah,
Neutral.
you're still neutral, right? You're going to say, look, I don't like what you're doing over there,
Because you're not
so I'm not going to do business with you, but I'm not sending any military there or nothing. So it's still neutral, but you're starting to get annoyed a little bit, right? Because they're doing some bad things, these Japanese, right?
And again, when we look at our beginning in the Neutrality Acts, again, the United States is staying put with not getting involved. But slowly but surely, the ball starts to move with the United States helping the Allies. And the big one, like we talked about, the cash and carry and the Lend-Lease Act. Okay? Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of these items that we discussed real quick? All right? Everyone good?
Right. So they're neutral, but then the game begins to change a little bit. If you flip it over, you're going to see two documents here.
And this is, ladies and gentlemen, what you will be working on for a majority of the classes after you get through our mini lesson. All right? You'll be working on an SEQ. All right? And you have two documents that you're going to be looking at. All right? Now remember, when you formulate your SEQ, your first step is to create a topic sentence. With our topic sentence, you should focus on how the United States is staying neutral. Why do we want to stay neutral? You can discuss the Great Depression and what we had to endure here as the Great Depression was going on. All right? And we want you to use the documents. All right? Document 1 is talking about the U.S. and the Neutrality Acts.
Nothing new.
Very similar to what we talked about in the past, but I want you to be aware of the dates. All right? The dates are going to be extremely important when we talk about the United States involvement in the war. November 4th, 1939 is when the Neutrality Act, again, the United States does not want to be involved in the war. We have statements, again, we've talked about this previously when we talked about neutrality. However, the United States gets involved in the war because of the attacks of Pearl Harbor. Is anyone familiar with Pearl Harbor or the attacks of Japan on Pearl Harbor and the American military? A couple of people? Okay. So again, almost 3 years to the day, all right, where the Japanese ended up attacking Pearl Harbor, and ultimately, when you go through your statement here of FDR's speech given the day after Pearl Harbor attacks, he ultimately says to Congress, we are declaring war on Japan. All right? Again, with these attacks, the attacks killed 2,300 soldiers and civilians. All right? And again, with it being in Hawaii, Hawaii at this time is a United States territory. So this is an attack similar to September 11th attacks in New York City. This was the first time we were attacked on our soil. All right, so we had to make a choice, and that choice was ending up going to the war. Yeah, we'll go quick, put on a quick video clip to give you an idea of, again, similar, I hate to make this comparison, all right, with 9/11, because my dad was at 9/11, he was a firefighter. So again, that day, there was no attack or anything like that. People were not aware of what was going on.
Here's what the Japanese did. And after this, it was on. War. Sunday morning, nice and quiet. People sleeping. Just waking up. These guys were out hanging out on a Saturday night.
Yeah, people go out. Again, they were not expecting to go to war.
Here comes the Empire of Japan. Surprise attack.
see they were given, the Japanese pilots were given what types of ships to aim for, what type of aircraft carriers to destroy. With the other, if you look on the side, there was the other. Alright, so again, as you can see, ladies and gents, not only were we not prepared for this attack, but again, when you impact other civilians that have nothing to do with the military, alright, and you have articles, newspapers, news channels that are displaying the destruction that happened in the United States, what do you think the mindset of American people are, say, on December 8th, 1941? What do you think the mindset of Americans are? They're angry. So what do you think now the point of view of staying neutral is?
Now the government has no choice to do something because they feel like since Americans are angry now, we have to be angry because they get attacked.
Even the people, it wasn't just the government. The people in America were reading about this in the newspaper the next day, listening to it on the radio, and they were like, that's it, it's on. We can't stay neutral. We gotta get after these guys. We can't let that slide. Right? That's not gonna slide. You can't do that to America and just be cool with it. All right, jump into your short essays. Historical context for the two documents. Identify and explain the relationship.
The one thing I want you to look at where it's talking about identifying the relationship. We have cause and effect, similarity and differences are turning point. Ladies and gents, which idea, when we go from neutrality into aggression, would we say that's a cause and effect, similarity and differences, or a turning point?
It could be turning point.
We're going to
That's the
say
easiest one here. Turning point, right? Go for turning point in your writing. 2 paragraphs. You guys got about a half an hour, right?
all right, plenty of time. And if you're done, when you're done with your SEQ, you can work on your exit ticket. All right, your exit ticket would be, if you were FDR, are you going to remain neutral, or are you going to be aggressive? Would you have been aggressive earlier? Would you have been aggressive later? This is more freedom for you. All right, I'll be around to help you.
Use the formula.
Yes, you have your formula up here. Step 1, create your topic sentence, and then use your document. Also, you can use outside information from the mini lesson. You can talk about the cash carry. You can also talk about the lend-lease as part of your outside knowledge. All right, so again, how is the United States changing from neutrality into being aggressive? All right, I'll walk around and help you guys out. I'll give you a minute or two to get started.
John, you missed. Why didn't you finish up? stay neutral. Now they can't stay neutral anymore, right?
Right?
Remember how yesterday you were reading about Charles Lindbergh and how people want to get involved and all that? Well, now guys like Charles Lindbergh is like, shut up, Charles Lindbergh. Look at what these guys are doing. We can't stay neutral. We gotta get up in here and do
No,
it.
because he underestimated.
Yellow, you kind of start to roll a little bit,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yellow,
The
green,
thing is, this was a surprise attack.
Then
Who would it
document two, green
They
light.
said,
Greens go.
They sent heavy duty bombers, right?
That's how we kind of started.
Right.
They started out not wanting, they wanted to remain neutral. Then they were like, no, what? And that help was providing arms and weapons to British. And then the final thing that pushed them into the war would be that. We can use, as I say, American
Somebody took out the hammer, and snapped it, and smashed this right here.
the Japanese Empire to take over, right?
That's the air field.
Right?
And the back here is hard to see. You know, the whole battleships too. Because America had all the boats parked in one place. The video was showing, right, all the boats were parked in one place. These guys knew they came in there. More than 300.
Again, you can use the notes on that front side.
The bomb spills were 300. 12 ships were destroyed.
Use the notes here, ship control policies. Use that also as part of your like outside information. Right? How you could say the Americans started to provide arms and weapons. Right? But again, your common sense is Americans didn't want to get involved in the war because we were dealing with the Great Depression. You have the two issues here to be worrying about what's going on here.
They want you to answer in at least 2 paragraphs, right? 2 paragraphs. This is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. The first paragraph, you're going to describe the historical context surrounding
Because that would be
what are the documents?
document. And then when you discuss document 1, you try to use this part here. You can say, then the Americans started to show. When they created anti-American, and that would be the outside.
Before document 1, America was going to get involved.
And then when we done stating that,
But then
go
what
on to
happened?
document 2, and that would be like the green
When
one.
he started being
Because not only did the
right?
government, but America.
America is still not trying to get involved. Document 1, neutrality. Right? But
You guys are all.
change occurred when
Treat
Japanese
your
bombs were harbor. Document 2, right? And then as a result, the Japanese bombs were harbor. I'll say, let's go on to win this war. We'll take 4 years. As long as we get a final product. The Japanese started it, America's going to finish it. And then end up dropping 2 nuclear bombs on Japan. Did they have it coming? No, your answer is yes. In 1 paragraph about the historical context of the document, right? And in the second paragraph is to explain the relationship between the documents of his attorney. Right, America wanting to be neutral, to what? To want, having no choice but to be involved in the war. That's his second paragraph. I'm going to talk about attorney, whatever he said. The first paragraph, he just gave us the background information. Remember we said, here are the 2 documents. These are your 2 documents. You're, in that first paragraph, you're talking about everything surrounding these documents. Right, everything surrounding these documents. Right? This is for your first paragraph here. Follow the format before, during, and after. Right? Before, document 1. During, document 2. After. That's your whole paragraph.
Or the same shade.
Right?
Again, friends, don't be afraid to use that outside information.
And that formula. Where's Chloe? Where's Chloe? The rain kept her home, huh?
Probably. This is like kind of like style. Yellow would be this. We're slowly starting to move a little bit. All right, we get a little above. We're like, it's like a progress.
Yeah, you wanna talk to me about this?
Yeah, so what you guys have, if you want to use the rubric here, the rubric is just to show you what like level 5 is at, and what level 11 is. You don't have to fill these in, if you want to use it as self-rated, you can do that. And so what is say, okay, give me one, okay?
You guys are still stuck on the historical survey.
So when you're writing, you actually know where you're going. All right, these are you guys. What did she say to do about Again, try to focus on like the problems that they're focusing on at the real topic center, right? Again, the United States does not have this problem because there's so many problems here, right? It's like one of the things we'll see on worry about yourself. Don't worry about others. Worry about yourself. How can you fix yourself if you worry about others? That's kind of the mentality of the United States. We need to get our house in order. We need to make sure our finances are good. We need to make sure our people are happy. Then we can work on helping them. Sure, one more. What's that time? You're done? You handed it in? Oh, it's legendary. All right, and then, ladies and gentlemen, once you're done, you can hand your stuff in up front. So you get an idea. All right, these were newspapers. Yeah,
This is from last week.
this is similar to these on.
You're asking me.
Yesterday was kind of like an appetizer to what we're talking about today. And then tomorrow we'll talk more about Pearl Harbor itself. But again, if you saw this on the front of the newspaper saying Pearl Harbor, how do you think Americans feel? This is sad, scared.
People can't get away with that. They can't get away with that.
What? What, newspapers today?
No, I mean, just like the Japanese doing that.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have, again, there's gonna be consequences.
You can't do that to America and we let it slide, right? That's like if somebody come and blow up your house for no reason, right? What, you wanna be cool with that? Who would be cool with that, right?
All right, but this was actually in one of the newspapers the day after Pearl Harbor. So again, when you open up your newspaper, and you walk into the grocery store, and you see the newspaper, this is your front page. All right, when you think a lot of people who live in America, regardless of where you're from, how do you think they feel as Americans when they see this? They feel defeated. How do you think they're responsive to that?
You're right, about the turning point first.
They're going to want that, maybe want revenge or something like that. So again, these images are extremely important. It's going to help you clarify them too.
impact the trajectory of society's culture, politics, economies, for unways. Wars, revolutions, ideological events, and so does that Pearl Harbor attack constitute a turning point? I would say so, right? But an event has already had consequences about the trajectory of society. So what the trajectory is, which way we headed? Before Pearl Harbor, we were heading neutrality, staying out of it, staying out. Pearl Harbor happened. Now we go the other way. That's what's turning point, right? Right. I mean, who's putting up with that? Right? If we stop and think about that. Who's, oh, okay, well, I'm going to use an accident. What? No one's putting up to that. I'm going to try it. Didn't look into history that was built on the ships.
Alright, and then, again, ladies and gents, you guys have about 10 minutes. Alright, so once you're done with your statement, do your exit ticket. Put yourself, be the president. You go into war, or are you staying neutral? Think about what you're going to do.
And by the time these guys come around, we can knock them out so bad that by the time they come around from after us, we'll already finish our business in Asia, and we can make some kind of deal with them. So they miscalculated. Yeah, they miscalculated. They thought that this would knock America out so much that America would take America. Their thinking was that it would take America at least 5 to 8 years before they could come out.
Already crushing it again. Crushing it again, getting
No
work.
time at all. Some historians say everybody in America.
He saved it all for me.
Years on them, like right away.
He's saving it all from
And
there.
part of the problem with the Japanese was half the fleet was out to sea on a training mission. So when they bombed Pearl Harbor, yeah, they knocked out some of the ships, but only like half the ships. The other half of the ships were out to sea on some training missions, and the other half of the crew was still like intact. So as soon as this ended, they started going after the Japanese right away, like in a big time way. Think about how this ends. The way this ends for the Japanese is the United States is going to drop 2 atomic bombs, the only nuclear weapons ever existed against the Japanese, right? You ask them because they haven't come to them. They say, yeah, you want to surprise attack us? You're right, exactly. You want to come surprise attacks on us? It's going to happen. So that's what happened. My nephew. Hungarian, we say Tomac. Yeah, it's Tom.
Good job, guys. Awesome.
The Germans were called Cherries. Or krauts. That was the more, because like the Germans eat like a lot of sauerkraut.
Stop tapping my
So they call a lot of times they call it krauts. Guys, how we doing on our short essays? You guys have, he doesn't done at the end of the period, right?
Yeah, they handed that.
Oh, you guys did it?
Yeah.
Well, let me give you a complete right now. I'll tell you what the reason. Remember, if this was the regions, you guys would end up, this would be 5 multiple choice points on the regions.
Look good.
You guys don't want to read that would be nice. What's up? You guys don't want to tune. I want to give you a score right now. Were you interested in what the score was?
Fantastic. Wonderful.
No. You want to tune them up a little bit so you wouldn't be.
Wait, when I'm done.
You still got 5 minutes.
You guys have like 10 minutes. Don't worry, Mr. Murphy's been late lately, right? If you guys see me at the end of the period, I'll be rushing to go get Mr. Murphy. The last 2 days, I've been rushing to go get him, and I'm sitting in the car waiting for him for like 5 minutes. week, maybe today anyway.
But that's because I'm broken, so I'm like, you won't practice it. Then I can say. Why you putting it down low like that?
Right, so you see where you're seeing these new policies for the Japanese Empire, I was also mentioned here from the notes, they put in that would be a better way of saying it.
Can you stop taking pictures of me?
Alright, I see where you're going with this. Here's the thing, you're not really going to that 3 steps, right? So this, you introduced the topic, you mentioned a little bit from the first document, which was neutrality, and then you very quickly mentioned a little bit about Pearl Harbor, and then went right into cause and effect. Yes, steps are you missing here? Right? You're not really explaining here. So, here, I'd say if you finish this right now, on the regions, they would definitely give you at least 2 out of 5 on them. And you can make that even better if you follow the 3-step process for unitarity. Alright, you got the main ideas there, you just gotta handle it. That's why we're practicing now. Make sure that and if you have a president that goes against so when you're in here, loose up, next one, you're nice with step 1 and 2, you ran it twice. You did it once for document 1, you did it once again for document 2, but then there's little, for each of those documents, little things that focus on. I put the number of sentences there, so you should have at least 2 or 5 sentences for each document explaining, right? So neutrality, I explained why was this important. Pearl Harbor, explain it, why was that important to them, right? Until they're like this. Why was that important? I'm not touching. You've seen the video, right? You don't have to describe it in the video, right? Why was that important? And then you're like, and then you're like, so you said we're all mad, and then you go after, right? That's exactly what happened. So the Japanese and the Germans being like, I'm not touching you, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing it, and then they do, and then there's right? You're on the right. Mark, you go. That was just for you to like when you write. So 3 on 5. So this is good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys got about 3 or 4 more minutes. All right, so start to finish up. If you are done, you can hand it up front. Great job today, everyone. Awesome.